You've probably done this before. You study for hours. You highlight the notes, reread the chapter, watch the explanation video twice, and then, the next morning, it's gone, like your brain deleted everything overnight. And the frustrating part isn't that you forgot. It's that you did everything right. You put in the time. You stayed focused. You tried harder than most people would. So what if the problem isn't how hard you're studying, but how your brain was never taught to hold on to information in the first place? Japanese students consistently perform at the top of global academic rankings, not because they study more hours, but because they use a completely different relationship with memory, one that works with the brain's biology instead of fighting it. These are the 7 techniques behind that system. And by the end of this video, you won't just know them, you'll understand exactly why your current method keeps failing you, and what to do tonight to change that. Most students treat studying as an input activity. You read, you listen, you absorb. The more information that goes in, the more you'll remember. That's the assumption. Japanese education challenges this from day one. The rule is simple. For every hour you spend taking information in, you need at least 2 hours pushing it back out. This is called the output rule, and it's backed by decades of cognitive research. When you retrieve information from memory, write it, explain it, or teach it to someone else, your brain physically strengthens the neural pathway that holds that memory. Passive reading barely activates it. Active output builds it. Here's what most students don't realize. The struggle to remember, that uncomfortable moment when you're reaching for something and it won't come, is not a sign of failure. It's the exact moment the memory gets stronger. Neuroscientists call this the retrieval practice effect. Every time you successfully pull a memory out of storage, the pathway becomes more durable, more resistant to forgetting. So instead of rereading your notes tonight, close them. Write everything you remember on a blank page. Speak it out loud. Explain it to an imaginary student. The discomfort you feel is the learning working. Output first, always. Here's a question. Would you rather study one topic for 3 hours straight, or study it for 1 hour today, 1 hour tomorrow, and 1 hour the day after? Most students choose the first option. It feels more productive, more focused, more efficient. You get into a rhythm, you build momentum, and by the end of 3 hours, you feel like you really know the material. The brain disagrees entirely. Japanese students use a method called distributed practice, breaking study sessions across multiple days instead of concentrating them in one block. The science behind this is called the spacing effect, one of the most replicated findings in all of memory research. Information reviewed at spaced intervals is retained dramatically longer than information crammed in a single session. Here's why it works. Every time you return to material after a gap, your brain has partially forgotten it. That partial forgetting is not failure. It's opportunity. Retrieving something you've almost forgotten creates a far stronger memory trace than reviewing something you just read an hour ago. You're forcing the brain to reconstruct the memory, and that reconstruction process is what makes it permanent. Study a little every day, not everything in one night. There's a Japanese classroom practice that most Western students never experience. After learning a new concept, students are asked to explain it to someone else in the simplest possible language. No textbook words, no copied definitions, just your own words. This technique mirrors what physicist Richard Feynman called the most powerful learning tool available. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it yet. When you explain a concept in plain language, your brain is forced to identify exactly where your understanding breaks down. The gaps become visible, and visible gaps can be fixed. Hidden gaps show up only on the exam, when it's too late to do anything about them. This is why Japanese students consistently outperform on application-based questions. The ones that don't just ask you to remember a fact, but to use it in a new context. They've been explaining concepts back in their own words since the beginning, so the knowledge is flexible, not fragile. After your next study session, Explain what you just learned out loud as if you're teaching a 10-year-old. The moment you get stuck, that's exactly where you need to go back. This is the technique your audience asks about most, and the one almost no Western student uses. At the end of every study day, Japanese students practice something called furikeri. It means looking back, not reviewing notes, not rereading the chapter. Just sitting quietly for 5 to 10 minutes and asking one question: what did I actually learn today? No phone, no music, just memory and silence. This isn't nostalgia, it's neuroscience. Your brain consolidates memories most powerfully in the moments right after learning, before sleep, and during periods of quiet reflection. By deliberately activating what you studied at the end of the day, you're sending a signal to the brain: this information matters. Prioritize it. Most students end a study session and immediately open their phone. In that moment, the brain receives a flood of new stimulation and begins deprioritizing what was just learned. Dopamine spikes, attention shifts, and the memory that was forming weakens before it ever had a chance to set. 5 minutes of silence after studying is worth more than 2 extra hours of reading. That's not a philosophy. That's how memory consolidation works. Tonight, before you sleep, sit with what you studied. No input, just reflection. Let the brain do what it was built to do. Here's something counterintuitive. Studying one subject for a long block of time until you feel like you've mastered it actually produces weaker memories than mixing subjects together. Japanese students regularly practice what researchers call interleaving, deliberately switching between different topics within the same study session. Math, then history, then language. Not because it's easier, because it's harder, in exactly the right way. When your brain can't rely on the momentum of one topic, it has to work harder to retrieve each concept independently. That extra effort feels like confusion, but that confusion is the signal that real learning is happening. If you study only one subject per session, you're building a memory that depends on context. Switch the context, and the memory disappears. Interleaving builds memories that survive context changes, including the exam room, where the questions come mixed, not organized by chapter. Mix your subjects deliberately. The discomfort you feel is the learning. Japanese students have a specific practice before bed on the night before an important exam. They don't cram. They don't review everything one more time. They do one final, gentle pass through the most important concepts, and then they sleep. This isn't passive. It's a deliberate instruction to the brain. During sleep, especially in the first 90 minutes, your brain replays and consolidates the day's learning. The memories you activated last, right before sleeping, get priority in that consolidation process. Your hippocampus transfers them into long-term storage while you rest. So the final thing you put into your mind before sleeping is the thing most likely to be there when you wake up. Cramming until midnight works against this entirely. It floods the brain with too much new information, disrupts sleep quality, and interferes with the consolidation process that was already running. You wake up exhausted, with fragile memories, and less access to what you actually studied. One gentle review, then sleep. Trust the process your brain was already running. The final technique isn't a study method, it's something deeper, and it's the reason the other 6 actually work long-term. In Japan, there's a concept that runs through every discipline from martial arts to cooking to academics. It's the idea that you don't just do something, you become it. A student doesn't just study. A student is someone who values the act of learning itself, regardless of the result. This distinction is subtle, but it changes everything. When your identity is tied to the outcome, the grade, the exam result, your brain treats studying as a threat. Every difficult concept becomes evidence that you might fail. Every forgotten fact feels like a verdict on your intelligence, and a brain under threat does not retain information well. Cortisol rises, the prefrontal cortex shuts down, memory consolidation weakens. When your identity is simply someone who learns, difficulty becomes expected. Forgetting becomes part of the process. You return to the material without shame, because struggling with it is exactly what learners do. The brain stays calm. Focus deepens. Retention improves. You don't need to be naturally smart. You need to decide once that you are someone who learns. That single decision changes how your brain processes every study session that follows. Not a student who has to study. A learner who chooses to. 7 techniques, not 7 rules to memorize. 7 shifts in how you relate to learning itself. Output over input. Distributed practice. Explain it simply. Reflect in silence. Mix your subjects. Sleep with intention. And decide who you are as a learner. You don't apply all 7 tonight. Pick the one that exposes the biggest gap in your current method. Try it for 1 week, then add another. This is how Japanese students build memory that lasts, not through harder studying, but through smarter alignment with how the brain actually works. The information was never the problem, the method was. If this changed how you think about studying, hit the like button so it reaches more students who are working hard but getting nowhere. And if you want to see how Japanese professionals apply this same philosophy to productivity and deep work, that video is right here. Same system, completely different application. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next video goes even deeper into the Japanese science of performance. Drop a comment telling me which of these 7 you're applying tonight. I read all of them.